Hey everyone, this is Kenlyn and welcome back to my channel for this incredibly potent week as we enter a new moon in Scorpio on November 1st at 5:46 a.m. Pacific time. There's a lot of complicated astrology happening, some of it really reassuring to our dharmic path and some of it really explosive and change-making. And that's why we're here. So the touchstone of this new moon, I'm going to declare, is Hecate, the goddess of the witches, the queen of the medicine women. She is the queen of the crossroads. And that is the signature of this new moon, the crossroads. We're at a crossroads. And the price we're going to pay for choosing a new path is the breakdown of the old. And we know that because Pluto is changing signs. It's at the 29-degree point of Capricorn, moving ahead November 19th, 0 degrees Aquarius, signaling the age of Aquarius is full on, although I'm going to say that the age of Aquarius is really happening at the new moon in Aquarius happening in 2025. I'm going to come out with my 2025 new moon, full moon report really soon so you can get a hold of all the new moons and full moons for 2025 and get your rituals going. I wrote keynotes for each one of them so that you can have a bigger context of the energy that you're working with. So this is a powerful new moon. As I said, it's a new moon of crossroads. It's going to ask us to make some choices and decide which frequency we want to bring into the new world. It's also the bringer of new light, new frequency. So if you're a disruptor, which chances are, if you're listening to this in some way, shape, or form, you are a disruptor. You are here to bring in the new light, the new frequency. And you know what? Sometimes that is a thankless job. And I'm going to point that out today as we're going to get into the astrology for October 27th. Before I do, I want to say a little bit more about Hecate as queen of the witches and those of us who carry the witch wound. And really, as Yelena said today in our transmission for the Evolving Sisters Network, once a month, we do a goddess activation and transmission. We started with Persephone in September, and now we did Hecate today. And then next month, it will be the goddess Aphrodite. So if you want to join the membership, you get those for free. And sooner or later, I'll make a way for you to purchase them on your own if you don't join the membership. But get inside the membership. We have a lot of cool things happening. What we notice inside the membership is that women are coming together. This is part of the Aquarian age. This is part of waking up and healing out of the witch wound. And that is that we're coming together to be seen and witnessed by each other and to really ask the question, am I going crazy? Is this crazy? I don't know how many groups I've been in where women have asked that and gotten reflected back. No, you're not crazy. I feel the same way. So we're weaving a new tapestry, a new normal, a reclamation, really. And so inside the membership, every month, when we're retelling the story of these goddess energies, we're telling the feminine reclaimed story, not the patriarchal story that hid the power of the goddess. So a couple of things that Yelena said about this is that her oldest temple is found in Turkey. It's pre-Greek. The name Hecate is Greek. There were also indications that she was in ancient Egypt. So I love the idea that she's seeded into our collective consciousness and the patriarchy could not destroy her, even though it burned so-called witches at the stake. So as we heal from the witch wound that's traveled through our DNA, we are healing together. And this yod, the finger of God that's happening today as I do this recording on October 27th, is the geometry. One of its significant meanings is a pattern disruptor. People who have yods or fingers of God in their chart, one of the things that they do is disrupt ancestral patterns. Princess Diana had a finger of God in her natal chart, and so do her children. So you can see how the disruption of the patriarchal form of royalty, monarchy, is breaking down. And it started with Princess Diana. I'm going to call her Queen Diana. She was a queen in so many ways, and also wounded. So this is part of that finger of God. Oftentimes, people do not pat you on the back. Thank you for being a disruptor. Thank you for speaking your truth. You know, she tried to hold it in because the conditioning of her culture didn't want to hear it. But the truth always prevails. The truth comes out. And that's what Pluto is meant to do, especially as it changes frequencies, moving from Capricorn, old tradition, like monarchy, government, into Aquarius, decentralization, newness, innovation, technology, air, just totally different signatures. And so we are the change agents. We are the ones at a crossroads, and we are choosing. And so this astrology signature is just saying to us, what are you choosing on this new moon? Here's a time to make intentions in the darkness, in the fertile void. As the patriarchy took on the sun as hollow and the god, and rewrote history and wrote the feminine out, the darkness was maligned. And we know that the darkness in the womb space, the fertile void, is where all creation comes from. It's Adi Shakti. It comes from the void. So here we are, reminded every month in the dark moon and in the new moon, we're reminded of this incredibly fertile, creative place from which all life springs. And in that place, our imagination rules, what we can open to, how we can allow our being to be a mixture of the unseen world and the seen world. And that is truly what happens at this time when the veil is the thinnest in this sign of Scorpio, the ruler of darkness, the ruler of the void. So it's teed up for us. We have Halloween on the 31st, and then we have All Saints Day on the day of the new moon. And then a few days after, we have the US election on the 5th of November. There's some really powerful astrology. So I mentioned on the 27th of October, the Yod, that is available to activate change agents. So we are becoming activated as change agents as we come to the new moon to reimagine, to bring in a new light at the crossroads. Okay, now something really cool, and I want to thank Molly McCord for bringing this through. She brought through a grand sextile. That may not mean anything if you don't study angles and geometry of astrology, but imagine a star in your mind, and all of the points of the star are also connected. So if you think about that star and all the ways that there's connection, it's like a communication dream. All of these frequencies are talking to each other. Where does that happen? That happens in a symphony. That happens in conducting an orchestra. All these different parts, and it could be like 100-piece orchestra, but they together make a symphony because there's harmony, there's structure, there's flow. Astrology creates that structure, and we are the music. We are the ones that play the music. Our frequency plays the music. And so let us allow Hecate to bring us into the darkness, to shed the skin of what no longer serves, so that we can harmoniously emerge as the bringer of new light. I'm going to keep bringing that theme because it's so important to remember in the midst of like incredible breakdown, because we're going to have that too, as if we haven't had that. Okay, so the grand sextile, it's fleeting because the main player is the moon in Virgo before it moves into Scorpio. And, the sun and the moon are in the same sign when we have a new moon. So before that, on the 28th of October, we're going to have Uranus in Taurus at 26 degrees, the moon in Virgo at 27 degrees, and Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. So that's the earth side, holding down the earth, groundedness. The mother earth, bringing in her frequencies and energies. Then we have the water side. We've got the Mars in Cancer at 27 degrees. Mars is going to move into Leo, but right now in Cancer. And then we have Mercury in Scorpio at 23 degrees. And then we have Neptune in Pisces at 27 degrees. So this harmonious water flow, grounded earth is bringing new possibilities and supporting us to deeply trust what's happening. I love that because you know how we always ask for trust, and that's really the core problem sometimes, that life is happening and we feel anxious and fearful, and it's because we don't trust. And we don't trust because we're separate selves. That's when we're in our separate self mind. And that separate self mind doesn't see its connection to the whole. It only sees its own survival. And it usually interprets the world in the way that it was fed in the times before it had a choice, in subconscious times between birth or even utero and 7 years old. So we just keep meeting out these patterns. And some of us were given the geometry of a pattern disruptor. And I think everyone who's born right now listening to these transmissions are pattern disruptors. So trust the bigger process. We're going to find some flow. We know that there's some endings that are closing out. There are chapters closing, doors closing. And we've been saying this since really the April eclipse season. We know that Pluto was going to go retrograde in Capricorn, then go direct, and then move signs. And so we knew that we're not in the new yet. We are in the closing of the old. And there may be some grief, some nostalgia, some fear, some not knowing, and therefore fear of the unknown, fear of the lack of certainty. And we can just hold space for all of those parts of us that are just little children, afraid. And we can also tap into the bigger energy that is the flow of all of these things happening. And that bigger energy can have that face and name of Hecate in this new moon transmission. So what I love about this grand sextile is we've got the outer planets and the personal planets all having a conversation. And then the moon moves out of that configuration. Mercury stays in. So our minds are engaged to constantly learn more, to take in more, to contextualize more. It's again bringing in those who have ears to hear and eyes to see. So we have to be willing, we have to be open, we have to want it, and then that information will come to us. Oh, let's see what else is happening here. I think there's also some answers that are coming through, maybe questions you've been holding since the eclipse. New moons are not really the time for answers because it's the darkness, but those things will be revealed. So we plant the intentions in this new moon, and let's plant the intention for new earth. Now, there's also a conjunction, believe it or not, one of my friends, Damascena, posted about a conjunction between Medusa, Hecate, Lilith, and Black Moon Lilith in Libra. And I'm thinking, holy wow, that's a lot of firepower functioning together. So we have some dark goddess energies revealing truths, revealing secrets, bringing things to light so that we can choose a new light. Don't be afraid of it. It's here for us, not against us. Now, this moon promises to be turbulent, and so does the US election. I'm sure you've seen some astrology on the US election. I'm not here to make predictions. That's not what I do. I'm here to synthesize the astrology and point us in the energy frequency as a feminine leader. So it's turbulent because we have this Mars-Pluto opposition, and that's going to last us through the election. So we just get to hold space for the massive change that's happening right now. And right when I said that, all mayhem broke loose with the door ringing and the dog barking. So yes, it's going to be turbulent. There's no surprise here. We already have known that. We knew we were in for it. And the US energy is split right down the middle. I think we have, forget what it is in Gemini, but it's part of the signature of the United States to be split. And we are split 50-50 apparently. And so anything can happen. And they're also saying with the retrograde that there may not be even known winner right after the election. So we're going to have to hold space for this transition. And no matter what it looks like, honestly, it could look like anything. We get to keep our drishti, our third eye gaze on the role that we're here to play. And I talked about this in the Jupiter retrograde. We're not here to play getting hijacked by mental thought forms and belief systems. We're here to play a bigger game. And that bigger game is bringing in a coherence to this planet through our embodiment. And what do I mean by that? We have to live a coherent way. We have to be, I don't even say have to, we get to be the bridge builders of a new earth. And we do that through us. And so as we become activated, as we remember who we are and heal the witch wound, overcome the fear that something bad's going to happen when I speak my truth, and know that even if something bad happens, I will rise, I will prevail, I will, you hear that will in there, I will be protected and okay. And that's just something that I move and live and have my being in, even when I come up against it. Because as I said last week, these T-squares, these oppositions, all of those things have made me know myself from the inside out. And that's what's happening to the collective. Individually, we are having this rebirth to know who we are from the inside out, so that then we can start playing the game of community. And that's really for the Aquarian age. So that's just setting our sights. A lot of it's happening on this new moon. Plant your seeds in the dark, fertile void. Spend time in quiet and open yourself to something that's new that wants to come through you. And definitely jump into the membership and watch the Hecate transmission. so that you can be guided even more by her power and undo, really clear and clean the conditioning that has kept the feminine from her power. That's all I'm going to say today. I think we've covered most of it. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh my goddess. Yeah, there's a T-square, but okay. Yeah, there's a T-square. Yeah, and that's the thing. The geometry never leaves. As I did 2025 new moon, full moons, and I'll drop that soon, as I mentioned. The geometry never leaves. It's just an opportunity of how we get to keep peeling another layer off and another layer off and another layer off to know who and what we really are. That's the game we're playing in Earth School, and to love more deeply. Not the love on this plane, but the big love that all beings are really one, that we come from the same source appearing as you and me, but we are one. And so let's gather all the positive energy that we have generated here and dedicate it to the merit. May all beings benefit from the merits of our effort.